Good evening, Shortcuts. This is Stephen here with the first of two lists for the Shortcuts price list that will be published this Wednesday, April 2nd at 9 p.m. sharp Sydney time. So this list will be a little bit different. I've got a Japanese list, which is kind of multi-genre. And what I've prepared here is a list of records from all over the place that are just really interesting and quirky and different. Some classics as well, but classics maybe with a poster or something interesting. Lots of posters this evening. And it covers punk, kind of classic rock, some modern pop, some real audiophile Nautilus super disc, some posters from Blondie and Michael Jackson, some punk compilations, some blues, all from all around the world, different pressings, different things. So this is a kind of a smorgasbord Shortcuts list that I hope you find interesting. It was really difficult to decide where to start. I could have chosen Moondance, Viva La Vida by Coldplay, all sorts, Dr. Feelgood. I've gone with this. This is Fresh Fruit for Rotten Vegetables by the Dead Kennedys. Now this, there they are, don't they look very pleasant on the back? This is the UK first press, which means that it comes with a poster. And this poster is the first I've ever seen, and it is a very unusual poster. Let me show you. So on this side, you tell me what to make of it, but is basically a collage of all sorts of interesting things. Pink salmon, which I guess is some of the food references. Cambodia's Pol Pot, which, when you've got a song with respect to Cambodia, classic in this. Church in Decay, a monster's scam. You've got Student with Library Card, Designs Bomb, Don't Live in Fear, Lie, Cheat and Steal, He Who Loves Me Follows Me, Jesus Jeans. It's a really cool and interesting, I guess, treatise on the world. I'll lead you astray and you'll like it. Look at all of this. It's absolutely unbelievable. And then in and amongst all of this are kind of lyrics sheets and all sorts. California Uber Alles, of course, the classic Stealing People's Mail, I Killed Children, the absolute stone cold classic that is Holiday in Cambodia. Now, this collection that I bought, that this record comes from, you're going to see all of these come from this collection, is from a collector that had the most diverse and interesting taste and always bought absolutely beautiful pressings. Now, some of them are not mint, and I'll explain in the list on Wednesday what they are, but some of them are very unusual and very cool. I mean, the Dead Kennedys are this mixture of hardcore punk, surf rock, garage rock, razor sharp guitars, and of course Jello Biafra's signature vocals kind of bellowing and yelping over the top. Holiday in Cambodia is an absolute anthem of punk rebellion. It's witty, lots of social wordplay, the sober truth about teenage drinking. Well, it's got mixed reviews. I think it's become a bit of a cult favourite. And yeah, I thought it's a very interesting lead-off. Now, I was lucky. There were two UK first presses in the collection, and one of them has made its way onto my shelf, and one of them will maybe make its way onto yours. All right, so where to go next? Well, this is interesting. This is the New Zealand first press of Van Morrison's Moondance. Now, a lot of people will argue the toss on what is Van Morrison's best album, but there isn't much doubt on what's his best-selling album, and that would be Moondance. And this is really unusual. I mean, the New Zealand first press on on Spotify or on Discogs is very rare indeed, and it's in fantastic condition. Absolutely lovely record, perfect scene, not even that discoloured. Marketed by WEA Records, PO Box 2915, Auckland, New Zealand. So, look, I mean, is there... It's got to be in the argument for one of the greatest singer-songwriter albums of the 70s. For me, oh man, like I love Vita on Fleece and Tupelo Honey, but Moondance is also just brilliant. It shares spirituality with Astral Weeks, but it's not as, I guess, willfully transcendent as Astral Weeks tries to be. The clue being in the name, but the bluesy piano and the acoustic guitars, it's so accessible. I mean, Moondance is a genuine classic. It is an album with an absolute legacy and an argument to be made for one of the best albums that's ever been made. And, I'm so proud that there's someone from my little home country of Northern Ireland that's in the mix for conversations like that. I've always enjoyed... I'm pretty sure Caravan's on this. Yeah, Caravan's on. Listen to side one. Stone Me, Moondance, Crazy Love, Caravan, Into the Mystic. That is one of the best run of 5 songs. Honestly, absolutely amazing. And his version of Caravan on the last waltz, where he basically karate kicked his way across the stage, completely lost in the music, is absolutely wonderful. Valet Van Morrison, even though you've made yourself unpopular in some quarters in the last years, but what a great record. Now, where do I go with this? Look, Coldplay are not my favorite band. My wife went to see Coldplay when they played here recently by herself. I just couldn't bring myself to go. I just don't get it. But there are some songs that, in the right way at the right time, I can get along with, and Viva La Vida on here is one of them. I'm talking about Viva La Vida, or Death and All His Friends, the incredibly pretentious title of Coldplay's, I think it's their 4th album. I mean, I remember really enjoying the first 2, buying X and Y, and just loathing it. I just thought it was an absolute slog to get through. And I think to a certain extent, the band thought that too. Because for this album, they tore it up. And they went with Brian Eno, and they decided to do something that's a lot more orchestral and choral and just much more ambitious. They made a record, shelved it, from what I understand, and then went again. Now, this pressing is the 2008 first press. I think it's the US copy, I'm going to have to double check, which came with this colour booklet that kind of, I guess it's more of a impressionistic view of the things that maybe inspired them for the record, but there they are on the back. A far superior record to X and Y. And if I really had to reach for a Coldplay record, it would be between the debut Parachutes and this one. But I don't like it well enough to keep it. It's far better off with somebody else. It's just not for me. Now, neither is this next record, but this next record has something really interesting about it. This is Just One Night, Eric Clapton's double live album from, I think, 1979, maybe 1980. And what you'll notice across the top, it says Nautilus Super Discs. Listen to the difference. So we'll come back to that in a second. So this is the picture with Blackie, Clapton's Stratocaster. This record, I played the first disc earlier when I came back. I was curious about it. It is quite jammy. I can understand why people really like it. It was recorded in Budokan Theatre in 1979, which was the location that's in Tokyo, of course, but it's the location of many famous live recordings, like Cheap Trick and others. It's quite tight, although he does have some guitar explosions, as you might imagine. Quite soulful. I really like some of the tracks, like Cocaine, just always works. Further Up the Road always works. Let Iron Sally is just one of his most palatable tracks. But these Nautilus discs, the Nautilus recordings were really high fidelity efforts. They specialized in really premium presses and used often Japanese virgin vinyl, manufactured and distributed by Nautilus Recordings. Look, they were all half-speed mastered, pressed in virgin vinyl, designed and encouraging superior sound quality, and lots of discussion about dynamic range. And so if I show you, there's something in here that I saw earlier. So the records come in these Nautilus sleeves. They were a little bit different. You can see they even call them super sleeves with a white label. But it also comes with the original inner. And so what this was you would fill in this questionnaire and send it off, and Nautilus would collect information about you, and in return you would get a Nautilus t-shirt. It's actually pretty cool. Add my name to your mailing list. And the Nautilus Super Disc has been crafted to provide you with an exceptional listening experience. Now, reading the reviews on the Hoffman forums and others, it worked. These records are incredibly well regarded. I can say myself, I was very pleasantly surprised with the dynamic range and just the all-round quality of the instrumentation. It really sounded superb. And so, they did what they said they would do. They did what it says on the tin. I can kind of understand why the half-speed Nautilus for Pink Floyd's Wish You Were Here is, a squazillion dollars, because if they can do for Clapton what they could do for Pink Floyd would be pretty extraordinary. All right, let's continue on. Now, this is the Aussie press of the Best of Blondie, genuinely one of the great compilations, Heart of Glass, Denis, Titus High, etc. But what I wanted to show you, that every so often you get the poster, and this is a poster that I like very much. It plays off the kind of New York hipster kind of thing. Look at this. This is Debbie Harry wearing Warhol's Bad, and kind of looking pretty spectacular, I have to say. Absolutely amazing. Let me see if I can show you this in a little bit. Look at that. There's insouciant attitude for you. Just beautiful poster, and what's doubly great is it's an absolutely spectacular compilation as well. So that works. This is a UK press of Tom Petty's absolutely spectacular Damn the Torpedoes. Refugee, Here Comes My Girl, Even the Losers, Shadow of a Doubt, Century City. Another one of these awesome runs of opening tracks. And so for those of you who haven't filled your boots with a really nice Damn the Torpedoes, which is definitely in the running for one of the best kind of guitar rock albums of the 70s, then that's a lovely copy for you. All right, something that's a little bit more obscure, but very hard to find on vinyl is this. This is Canned Heat Reheated. Now you can see there's a sticker on the top, which I haven't taken off, but those can be removed. You can also see here that it's a promo copy. Media DJ library on loan, promotion only. I don't think it's ever been played. It looks completely new to me. Now, interesting thing about Rehated was, how it came to be. So obviously the 70s Can't Hate were kind of one of the premium kind of boogie rock bands and made some really, really lovely records, but went through the decade with a series of personnel changes and some kind of tragedy in the mix and all sorts of different things. But they really did keep the blues alive, made some great albums, particularly one with John Lee Hooker that I absolutely, totally love. Well, they reformed in the 80s, the original lineup, with the original drummer, everything, and they just played some original songs and a bunch of covers, like Wrapped Up and Hard Times. And it really does sound like it's a continuation of that classic kind of 70s sound. And it was middle of the kind of CD was really kicking off. There are very, very few vinyl copies around there. It's worth a listen, particularly if you're a Canned Heat fan. For completists, it really is very, 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 very nice and surprisingly palatable. Now, this next record's one I love a lot more. It is the soundtrack to the movie That Summer from 1979. That Summer was one of these kind of culture movies, one of these ones that kind of hits the spot when you're kind of growing up, about teenage rebellion, self-discovery in an English seaside town, come of age, classic, tick, 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 tick all those boxes, lots of raw energy and emotion. But the thing that's great about this is the soundtrack. My gosh, are you ready? Sex, Drugs and Rock and Roll, Ian Jury. Spanish Stroll, Mink DeVille. I Don't Want to Go to Chelsea, Elvis Costello. She's So Modern, the Boomtown Rats. Another Girl, Another Planet, The Only Ones. That is one of my all-time favourite songs, and it has what's up there for me as one of the great guitar solos of all time as well. Reckless Eric, Patti Smith, the Ramones playing Rockaway Beach, the Undertones playing Teenage Kicks, Eddie and the Hot Rods, Ian Jury, Nick Lowe, I love the sound of Breaking Glass, what a great track that is too. Watching the Detectives, Elvis Costello, and then it finishes with Blank Generation, Richard Hell and the Voidoids. This is the UK, I think it's the US first press, as just a fantastic, utterly brilliant compilation. What we have here as well, I think this is US too, I'm going to have to double check. But it's got the original in there. Maybe I might be able to track it down. But you can see the photos. This is the return of the giant Slits. Look at that. In absolutely brilliant condition. I've had the Japanese version of this. I don't think I've had a US copy. A really wild record. Rhythmic, kind of almost aggressively atonal in places, but also super fun and very unusual for a band that had kind of a blended punk attitude with reggae in the opening. And their first album, Cut, to go to where they went to with this was a real leap. Whilst it wasn't a commercial success, it has really been recognised as a pioneering album now. It's quite experimental, well worth a listen, and stands on its own now. The Slits were a pretty cool band, and even the packaging on this one is pretty great. All right, just a few more to go. This is probably my favourite in the list. This is the debut album by Dr. Feelgood, and it's called Down by the Jetty. This is the UK first press, which is on the United Artists label. So why is this my favourite? Well, I'm not really a Dr. Feelgood fan. British blues typically doesn't do it for me, especially British blues that comes out of kind of the UK pub rock scene. Always seems pretty sludgy and kind of sloggy to me. It just doesn't work. But this debut album is really lean, super lean, very punchy rhythm guitar. I really like the beats, and the bass is quite melodic, but drives the songs. Roxette with Wilco Johnson's really choppy guitar, and Lee Briot, the singer, with playing some killer harmonica, is one of the songs that's really stood out to me. And, considering this record was released in 1975, so in 1975, you can really hear the beginnings of those kind of punchy punk rhythms. It's a very, very cool record, and very, very hard to find. The UK first press with that black and white sleeve is... Not many of you will have that. I'm making that prediction. But give that record a listen, and it's very, very enjoyable. All sorts of influences. Paul Weller. I remember reading an article in Uncut quite a long time ago where Paul Weller was talking about the influence of Dr. Feelgood on the formative days of the Jam. And I can hear it for the first... I don't know. It's very cool. All right, this is a little known record by a young singer in the mid-'80s. He did quite well for himself, so it turns out. Got himself a good producer, Quincy Jones, could dance a bit, could hold a note, decent songwriter. I think you all know I'm kind of taking the piss a little bit, but this is the absolutely mega selling Thriller. But what sets this particular copy apart is the poster. So I'm just going to unfold this because it's pretty big. All right, here we go. This is... let's do this properly. Here we go. This is the poster that is the Thriller poster. Look at that classic MJ image. Only released... it says on the Aussie ELPS. Haven't figured out whether it was released all around the world or not, whether it was just Australia. I haven't seen that. Maybe I've seen it once before, but it's pretty rare. And so, for those of you who like your MJ, that's well worth looking at. I got 3 more to go. I'm going to do them quickly. This is In My Tribe, 10,000 Maniacs, featuring Natalie Merchant, of course. Alternative, I guess, indie, acoustic, singer-songwriter-y, kind of, you're in that vibe. Shimmering guitars, very melodic, quite distinctive vocals. What's the Matter Here, Like the Weather, kind of very thematic type songs, very... very interesting. Early versions included a song Peace Train, which was removed from later reissues, which this one has. I'm pretty sure this is a UK. I'm going to have to double check though. But it is a really, definitely paved the way for a bunch of bands. And I remember Michael Stipe talking about how much he loved 10,000 Maniacs, and there were the Indigo Girls. There was a scene around this type of record. Anyway, it's very, very interesting. 2 more to go, wildly different. We've got Overnight Sensation, Frank Zappa, and the Mothers. Now, I haven't figured out what exactly this press is. It may be Aussie, I'm really not sure. I'll find out before, but it is the gatefold. It's in really nice condition. This is Zappa's biggest selling and most commercial record, even though it is still intricate and absurdist in places. Body, all the things that Frank Zappa is. But it's fun as well, and well worth a listen. All right. I would typically talk a bit more, but I'm going to have to finish off because I'm going to finish with this. The Johnny Otis show featuring Shuggie Otis. Shuggie Otis playing guitar on this record when he was, I think, 16 years of age, which is kind of mind-boggling. I mean, his dad, Johnny Otis, was nicknamed the Godfather of Soul, had a hand in the careers of Etta James, Big Mama Thornton, and many more. And playing with his son on this record is pretty special. Johnny Otis piano, vibes and vocals, Shuggie on guitar, David Pridgeon, and a whole bunch of other different singers. It's kind of funky. You can absolutely hear the talent of Shuggie just shines through. It's a bit of a collector's item that they're very, very, very hard to find. Again, it's one of those things I think not many of you will have, but it's really cool. And kind of formative Shuggie is pretty awesome. I wonder if it was ever true that he was invited to replace Mick Taylor and the Rolling Stones. I kind of hope it is. If there's an alternate universe where that actually happened, I suspect that's pretty much been a rip-roaring success. There you have it. The first list, there's another one to go, which is all Japanese. As always, leave a comment, like, subscribe. The price list will go out at 9 p.m. If you would like to be on that price list, drop me an email, shortcutsrecordsaus@gmail.com. If you made it this far, you're a legend. Bye.